Before I get into the main topic of this video, there is something I want to point out. This right here on screen is the last chapter of My Hero Academia, chapter 430, and it came out on August 4th, 2024. It has already been way over 3 months, almost 4 months, since My Hero Academia came to an end. And it's honestly been a very weird time. And, you know, I have the same feeling as I have for JJK as well. The fact that JJK is over, it's weird just seeing discussions around these series slowly dwindling. And it's just weird, because it's like, it's been something that's been ongoing for almost basically a decade, discussions around, like, My Hero Academia, and then, obviously, for the last, like, half decade, pretty much, for JJK. It's weird to see these series that are just such cult classics and significant, like, moments within, you know, the manga industry, anime and manga culture, just seeing them officially over, and there's not as much discussion around them anymore, because obviously no new content. And I don't know, I was just feeling a little bit sad, somber a little bit, from just that realization for the past few days. But anyways, let's get into the main discussion of why you clicked on this video. So, a few days ago, there was an announcement that My Hero Academia is going to be getting 38 new pages in the final volume release, volume 42, as you can see here. It's going to be getting 38 new pages to basically extend / give a new ending to My Hero Academia, which legitimately I'm happy for. I'm very happy to hear that news. I mean, it's to be expected to a degree when a new volume comes out, or the final volume comes out. Sometimes there is a little bit of goodies for the fans and stuff, you know, a few extra pages, maybe you know, an author comment, the author talking about maybe their inspirations or something along those lines. So 38 pages isn't necessarily surprising. I'm just more or less happy to see that My Hero Academia is getting a little bit more content to kind of give a little bit more closure to its conclusion, because obviously, you know, there's a lot of people that did not like the ending of My Hero Academia. A lot of people fundamentally thought it was very rushed, or just didn't feel like there was really any payoff. I personally have very mixed feelings on the ending, and I've talked about that in my last video of the manga I made, but I will say that, you know, I am happy that we're going to get an extended version of the ending that could potentially give a lot more details to some of the characters and their interactions, and maybe, even if this isn't really that important, see if, like, who got with who, so to speak, romantic pairing, so to speak. That would be pretty fascinating. I'll talk more about that in a second. But anyways, I want to point something out, which I think anyone that obviously has seen these pages has already noticed the similarities, but I really just love the symbolic nature of the final volume and the first volume of My Hero Academia. It's just like, say whatever you want. You could say you dislike My Hero Academia, you don't like it, you hate the community, whatever the reason may be, okay? You're not gonna tell me, as, you know, someone that's potentially dived into My Hero Academia, that there isn't some emotional moments you can feel for just, like, the first cover to the last cover in the journey. It's been a decade. It has literally been a decade since My Hero Academia came to, you know, like, when it first started, and then now it came to a close. And it's crazy, just, like, the journey that, you know, Kohei Horikoshi has went through to get to this point. And more or less, just seeing, like, Izuku being in the image of All Might here, the wounds all over his arm, he's smiling, and then you see basically the next generation, you know, going in the class and all that. It's really beautiful, and I especially love, like, the heroes in the background, all of Class 1A and stuff, getting to see, like, how they make up for the old school heroes that came with All Might. There's just little details like that that really just stand out to me. I don't know, I really like what, you know, Horikoshi did with this final cover. I feel like, you know, it makes the most logical sense that this would have been the final cover, but just to actually see its design in general, it's very beautiful. And I don't know, I'll tell you what, Horikoshi has definitely done a lot of different art pieces for the last few months since My Hero Academia came to a close, and I'm not gonna lie, his art pieces on Twitter has been some of the best art I've ever seen from him since he started writing his series, My Hero Academia. And I guess it has to do with, like, what taking a break does for someone. Like, I mean, Horikoshi obviously is a little bit freer now. I mean, he's not doing a weekly manga release anymore, so he has time to, you know, really take a breather and take as long as he needs to draw something. And I think if there is one takeaway from everything is that Horikoshi's art really was some of the best in Weekly Shonen Jump, like hands down. For a weekly series, for a series that has to come out weekly, My Hero Academia's art was always really high level, like way above high level than normal manga within the magazine. And just to see how much his art is even better now since its conclusion, I could not imagine a world where Horikoshi is given, let's say, a month or, a few weeks more to be able to draw a chapter for, let's say, My Hero Academia or other future manga, just how insane his artwork would actually look. But anyways, I've gotten a little bit off topic. The point of the matter is that this final volume is very beautiful, and it really is a nice ribbon on top to the journey of My Hero Academia. Obviously, there was a lot of ups and downs for the story. I have a lot of problems with it. I've discussed this already in previous videos, but at the end of the day, My Hero Academia is still a very big part, or was a very big part of my life for the last 10 years, and to see it finally wrap up and over, and it's been a few months since then, it's kind of, it's emotional to think about. I've had a lot of time to really think about the conclusion and stuff, and, my thoughts more or less, I'm not necessarily dissatisfied completely with the ending, but I do think that it could have been better. So I do hope the 38 pages that Horikoshi is going to be adding into this final volume release is going to probably settle a lot of problems that people had with the ending. And I guess this is a nice way to really segue into it. So, here's an article on the subject as well that is getting, 38 new pages and stuff. But, to get into it, what would I like to see? Well, we got to think about what the final chapter was. It basically was kind of a time skip. We had, Deku kind of come to terms with, he was a teacher, and, he kind of didn't really have anyone to talk to. It was a big discussion point that a lot of people had. But the thing is that towards the end of the chapter, Deku gets basically top-of-the-line gear. He's pretty much, becoming Iron Man, so to speak, and he's able to be a hero on the front lines while being a teacher at UA. And it's a very interesting interaction he has with the characters, how all of them really tried to save up money to fund for Izuku to be able to be a hero again. There's some really cool stuff like that within, the final chapter. But one of the biggest takeaways a lot of people had with the final chapter is that it didn't conclude any romantic pairings. And I've always said that I didn't really care about who got with who or anything. I don't really care. For instance, if Izuku got with someone else that was completely off the wall, I'd be like, okay, that happens. It's Horikoshi's decision at the end of the day. But to be fair, the final chapter didn't even give any conclusions with romantic pairings, even if they were teased here and there throughout the story. So I do hope that the 38 extra pages somewhat dives into maybe who got with who married who. It's very apparent that Ochiko and Izuku got together. I don't think anyone's really denying that one. But it would be nice to have some closure to that, and with other characters as well. Like seeing with Mina, who, she gets with, just all the characters, honestly. The whole cast. But that's a small little fraction. I would like to see a little bit more expansion as well on the teachers, maybe a little bit more on Endeavor as well, like what Endeavor's doing now that, he basically is beyond repair and broken. I would like to see a little bit more with Dabi as well, maybe Todoroki's interaction as well with, his brother too. There's a lot of things, a little details here and there that I would have liked to see dived into, and hopefully those, like I said, those 38 pages, that's a lot. Hopefully it dives into it, because to put this in perspective, 38 pages, if we're calculating the standard length of a Shonen Jump chapter, they range from 16 to 18 pages. So you have, 2 chapters. If we're ranging it at 16 pages, we're looking at about 32 pages? So we're looking at about 2 chapters worth of content that's being added. That's a good amount of content. 2 extra chapters added on could definitely alleviate some of the issues that people had. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hopefully, Viz Media and Shonen Jump, they release it, and we're able to get a hold of these chapters sooner than later, because I would like to see what Horikoshi cooked up. And for all we know, the extra pages could be sequel bait. It could actually be hinting at a potential follow-up continuation of My Hero Academia, because to be fair, it is indeed possible. I mean, at the end of the day, villains aren't permanently gone. There will always be a new evil. And on top of that, one of the main fundamental issues or plot points that the story took, place with was the singularity, and that, eventually quirks are just going to become so overpowered that it could theoretically threaten the entire world. So, I mean, we didn't even really dive into that aspect of the story, really. Just we know that was a big part of, where the story was heading. So, that definitely could be, some form of sequel plot point for My Hero Academia if Horikoshi wanted to do that, or he could give up the story to some other artist/writer. who really knows? But, anyways, I wanted to briefly talk about this because I felt it was very fascinating, and I know there's a lot of people that might be unaware of this, so just letting you all in the know. But yeah, My Hero Academia, getting somewhat of a new ending, extended ending on that. I didn't think we would get more content, but here we are. Anyways, be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.